this video we will be discussing Sustainable Sites Credit 7 Heat Island Effect. There are two subcredits here, roof and non-roof. Non-roof of course deals with ground plane surfaces as well as canopies, and roof is any surface covering habitable space below it. So let's start with 7.1 non-roof. There are two paths to achieve this credit. The first deals with how you treat your ground plane, using trees or canopies to shade it, using high reflective materials, or using open grid pavement. All of these achieve the same goal of reducing heat island effect by treating the surface. For all these options, you must treat 50% of your site's hardscape with one or with a combination of all of these options. Now your site's hardscape includes all your parking, walkways, and any paved open space. The other path to achieve this subcredit aims to limit the amount of surface parking you have on site. So by placing 50% of your parking spaces underground or covered, you're able to achieve this credit. So let's start with the first path of treating your ground surface area. The first option is to use trees to shade your ground plane. The amount of shade a tree generates is calculated here for a tree after 5 years of being planted. The second option is to use shade from solar panels, so you would have a canopy or any type of shelter or structure covered by solar panels. The third is also using shade from a canopy or some kind of shelter, but this time instead of being covered by solar panels, it is covered by a light colored material, which is to say a surface with high reflectivity or high solar reflectance index, which is an SRI of over 29. Next option, instead of covering the ground surface with a canopy, the surface of the ground itself should be highly reflective. So here the paving should have a solar reflective index of over 29. And the last option is to use open grid pavement. What this does is it lowers the temperature of the surface through the use of evaporation. It could also accommodate having vegetation in between the paving cells. So you can use one of these strategies, or all of them, or any combination of them, as long as 50% of your ground surface area is treated with one or any of these strategies. Next path of compliance is having 50% of your surface parking covered. Now what do we mean by covered? There are different options available. First, you could keep the surface parking at ground level and have a cover on top of it, and this cover would have a high reflective index. It could be a light structure canopy or a slab with functions on top of it. As long as its surface is reflective, then you achieve this subcredit. Next option is instead of having the surface reflective, you would have solar panels on the structure itself. So we see here that these are similar options to what we were given to treat our ground surface in the first subcategory, subcredit. Next option is to have a green roof on top of the structure that covers our parking. This achieves the same results as that of using high reflective surface or solar panels. And then another way of achieving this credit is instead of covering the parking and the parking being on the ground level, this time we place at least 50% of our parking underground. Now this achieves the same objective as covering our surface parking, if not better actually, since it frees the ground plane for functions other than parking and just storage of automobiles. This last option here actually ensures that projects on small urban sites with very little ground surface area, very dense urban sites, would earn this subcredit by simply having their parking underground, which they most likely will be doing anyway. So this covers heat island effect non-roof, either treating the hardscape surface or treating the surface parking. Now let's move to 7.2, roof. Here you are given two simple alternatives. either use what is sometimes referred to as a white roof, which is basically a high reflective roof, or by using a green roof. Now, LEED doesn't treat these two equally. A green roof has more environmental benefits than a white roof. A green roof not only reduces heat island effect, but also reduces storm runoff. It could also help improve the building's thermal insulation value, which is why to achieve this credit you would need to have 75% of your roof to be white roof, but only 50% of your roof to be a green roof as another option. So it could be either of these two options, white roof, green roof, or a combination of both that would achieve the same weighted result. We note that the acceptable solar reflectance for a roof is actually dependent on the slope of the roof. So a flat roof, or a roof with a low slope, would need to have an SRI of 78, while steeped roofs would only need to have an SRI of 29. And this is it for the roof. You can have 75% white roof, 55% green roof, or a combination of white and green roof. To view more tutorials, please visit the Green Illustrated website, www.green-illustrated.com.